If you were to take a list of all the players in camp this spring for the San Francisco Giants and had to rank them as far as least to prove versus most to prove, arguably the player at the top of this list with the single most to prove is Marco Luciano, who, as many of you know, is no longer going to be a shortstop going forward, but rather a corner outfielder. And if we go back to last year, entering spring training, Luciano was in a completely different spot in his career. He'd been a top prospect in the organization for a number of years. He had the opportunity to make his major league debut in 2022. And going into last spring, the expectation was that he was going to be the starting shortstop for the San Francisco Giants, their first true starting shortstop since Brandon Crawford held down that position for more than a decade. And we all kind of know how this unfolded. Nick Ahmed gets signed late in camp, ends up making the team as the team starting shortstop. Luciano plays a handful of games for the Giants over the course of the 2024 season, but whether it's defensively or offensively, things never click. He spends the majority of his season with AAA Sacramento, and as we all know, this past offseason, the Giants signed Willy Adames to a 7-year, $182 million contract, effectively ending any opportunity that Luciano would have to be the team's starting shortstop going forward. And with the team moving Tyler Fitzgerald from shortstop to second base and effectively naming him the second baseman as a result of the Willy Adames move, that created a situation where Luciano wasn't really going to have any opportunities in the infield. At third base, you have Chapman. At first base, you have Lamont Wade Jr. and Wilmer Flores, at least as far as this season goes. And then moving forward, you have Bryce Eldridge waiting in the wing. So with the infield being as crowded as it is, the Giants made the decision to transition Luciano to the outfield. It's a position that he's played before, but at least as far as the minors and the majors are concerned, Luciano has only exclusively played shortstop and second base. He has never played a single inning in either left field or right field. Luciano talked to reporters today about the transition that he's making from shortstop to the outfield and said that he has accepted where things are. He wants to do things that are in the best interest of the team. This is where he's at in his career, and he's going to take this challenge head on. Luciano admitted that during the beginning of the offseason, when he began his transition from shortstop to outfield, he did feel a little uncomfortable because, again, while he did play this position in the past, it's a position that he never played during actual games. But as the winter went along, as he got in more reps, as he began playing the position every day, he started to get more and more acclimated. And now the big challenge going forward was seeing how he can do during spring training when getting actual in-game reps. Luciano, of course, will be in competition for the fourth outfield position with Elliot Ramos, Jung-Hoo Lee, and Mike Yastrzemski having locked down the starting positions. He will be in competition with Grant McCray and Luis Matos. But given the fact that McCray and Matos have both been outfielders for the entirety of his career, Luciano is at a big advantage. And the best way that he can differentiate himself as far as making the opening day roster is honestly with his bat. But as we know, Luciano, in the few reps that he has had at the major league level, both in 2022 and 2023, hasn't been able to tap into the raw power that made him such an appealing prospect in the first place. I can't remember what the actual numbers are off the top of my head, but his batting average is in the low 200s, the slugging percentage is in the low 300s, and he's yet to hit a home run at the major league level. And when Luciano was talking about the hitting side of things, he said that last year in particular, he really got away from himself, got away from the things that made him successful, and said over the course of this offseason wanted to find his swing and wanted to more specifically find himself. And one of the things that really strikes out when you look at Luciano's hitter profile is his opposite field heavy approach. Luciano was going to the opposite field a lot more at the major league level compared to where he was going in the minor league level, and said that he made a couple tweaks to his swing in order to pull the ball more consistently. And when I asked for specifics as to what he changed, he said he wants to put the ball in play and he wants to pull it. If we take the macro point of view and try to imagine what the Giants' opening day roster could look like, it's fair to envision a scenario in which Luciano isn't on that list of 26 guys just because of the lack of experience he has in the outfield. And if you consider that his home stadium is going to be Oracle Park, that's a very difficult place to learn the corner positions, especially right field. But that being said, you never know how things might shake out during spring, and it's going to be interesting to see how Luciano acclimates to that position during games going forward.